What's up, guys? Welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Mill. Jay Miller, if you like. So let's get into it. So today, the Cowboys take on the Broncos here. And just kind of want to get a look at the Broncos or talk about the Broncos offense versus the Cowboys defense. So one of the most concerning things about this game to me is that the Broncos offense is so up and down and so inconsistent. Um, they have some good weapons, right? They've got Sutton, they've got J.K. Dobbins, they got Mims. Like, they have some guys here who can make some plays. And they also can run the ball pretty well. So it's going to be interesting because J.K. Dobbins is averaging about 75 yards a game. So he's running the ball fairly well here. So I do think the Cowboys are going to have some problems on defense getting a handle on the Broncos offense, because not only do you have those weapons, but then you have what has basically given the Cowboys offense issues all year long, which is the running quarterback. And Bo Nix will run on you. He's not, Justin Fields where he can run, a 4-4. He's not Lamar Jackson or anything, but he is in the mold of, let's say, Jalen Hurts. So he's a fairly fast guy who can run the ball well. And you're going to end up with some issues there if you can't get pressure. And even if you do get pressure, if you can't get him to the ground, if you allow him to break contain, and then you have that, like we were talking about yesterday with the Cowboys offense, that above the 2.5 portion of the play where the quarterback can now scramble around by sometimes. And now the receivers are playing backyard football instead of running, timing routes and running to a crisp open spot. That's going to give us some problems because our cornerbacks are not the stickiest in coverage. This might actually be one of those games where maybe Matt Eberflus wanting to run a lot of zone might be a smart thing if the Cowboys can execute it. That's been the problem this whole time. Zone defense isn't a problem. Man defense isn't a problem. There are various teams who run man and zone throughout the NFL all season long, and everything is fine, right? The problem is the Cowboys don't know how to execute man. They don't know how to execute zone. It feels like no matter what defense we've called this year, they've had a problem executing it. There's always guys running open and free. Now, the Broncos don't have a dynamic downfield passing game, but neither did the Carolina Panthers, yet they still hit us for some big plays. Also, the difference between not having a dynamic passing game and knowing it and not having a dynamic passing game and not knowing it is the Broncos are more in the latter category. They don't know it. So they will take deep shots. So if you are the Cowboys and you're not executing your zone correctly, or you have busted coverage in man, and Cortland Sutton is running down the field, I mean, he's going to get a chance to make a big play. And one of the things about Sutton is he is the Broncos' downfield threat. He does have really good hands, really good body control, really good patience. He actually reminds me a lot of George Pickens in that way. So, I mean, he's going to be the guy that we have to watch out for when it comes to the big play. Mims is more of like he's a little bit shiftier. He's a little bit more of your speed guy when it comes to that type of stuff. So I do, oddly enough, think the Cowboys are going to be okay with the speed guy. It's the big physical under control guy that's going to give us problems, especially when it comes to downfield. Cortland Sutton is great with his feet. He has late hands, and here we talk about late hands all the time. It's one of my favorite traits that a receiver has. George Pickens is awesome at it, waiting to the very last second to show your hands so that the cornerback doesn't get a beat on where the ball is going, because if their back is turned to the ball, you put your hands up too early, they can go up and bat it down without even having to see necessarily where it's at. But he's really good with those late hands. Mims is really good in the intermediate area. And then J.K. Dobbins has always been a physical runner that also has great contact balance. So that's going to be one of those things where if we talk about the Cowboys, one of their weaknesses, or their most consistent weaknesses, busting in coverage and letting guys run free. Their second most consistent weakness is tackling. And with a running back like J.K. Dobbins, that can be a problem because he has good contact balance. So he's already hard to tackle for good tackling teams. But if you're a team that's poor with tackling and you wrap this guy up, but you don't bring him to the ground, or a bunch of people aren't there to help you, kind of get to him, like everybody's not running to the football and getting this guy to the ground, he can break out on one of those tackles, and now all of a sudden he's into the open field, and nobody wants to touch this guy. I mean, we don't have Malik Hooker on defense, not saying that he was some awesome world beater, but as a last line of defense, he was usually a pretty sure tackler back there at safety. I don't know if Donald's going to play today. He has the hurt elbow and the hurt shoulder. I think the elbow was kind of like popping in and out on him, so kind of dislocating. And then you had his shoulder, compensating for the elbow. So I don't know if he's going to be able to go today as well. Trayvon Diggs, not that he was some great tackler, but at least in coverage, if you were going to play man-to-man, he's one of your better guys in that. And now he's going to be out as well. At least I'm pretty certain that he's going to be out. I don't know 100%, but I'm like 99.9% that Trayvon Diggs isn't playing. So you're going to be down some guys. We don't know if Wanye Thomas is playing, right? He's been dealing with migraines, and as a person who suffers from migraines, I can tell you it's no joke. And the last thing that you want to do with a migraine is be, hitting other people and having other people hitting you and being out there in sunlight. If he has migraines like the way that I have them, I can't even see out of half of my face when it's happening. If the pain's on the left side, I can't see out of my right eye. If the pain's on the right side, I can't see out of my left. So if you're doing that and you're trying to defend someone, you might not even see the offensive player running by you. So like with migraines, you don't want to fuck around with that. You don't want to be on the field trying to play through something like that. So, I mean, that's going to be another guy who might be down. And even if he is up, I don't even know, even if he is up, if he will be playing a lot this week, because the other part that they don't talk about when it comes to migraines is your body gets this sort of hangover, right? Like even when you're done fighting off the migraine, it affects your whole body. Like you're sluggish for like another 2 or 3 days. And as far as being able to eat, you can't eat because it almost feels like, you just got finished having somebody drill your head. So after that, you end up really nauseous and motion doesn't feel too well. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Like when people hear him not playing last week because of migraines, people think, oh, a headache? How does that keep you out? A migraine is completely different than a headache. Trust me. As a person who suffers from them, trust me, it's not a headache. So we don't know if he's going to play today. And even, like I said, even if he's over the whole migraine situation, it takes your body a little bit to snap back. And then on top of it, the body snapping back, now you have to get back into practice too. So they have to feel comfortable with that. So even if he's active, I don't know if he's going to be playing a ton today. He's probably not 100% himself. So you already got those 4 guys down on defense. So having communication is going to be key, and being able to read your keys is going to be key. And then on top of that, being able to, have good gap integrity in the run game, filling your lanes, getting to the ball, having everybody run to the football, get J.K. Dobbins to the ground. And then on top of that, contain Bo Nix. Don't let him get outside the pocket and make secondary plays and, get his receivers open above the 2.5, because now, we're in trouble once they run into the secondary. All of that adds up to me to be a game that the Cowboys defense is going to struggle. And honestly, if we're getting into more like some picks and predictions, this could be a bad game for the Cowboys. Like the recipe on both sides just doesn't look good. You look at the defense that the Broncos have, it's definitely the most difficult defense that the Cowboys have played all year. And then, excuse me, and then you look at an offense that, even though they're kind of inconsistent and it's hard to get a beat on them, they can give the Cowboys some problems in the ways that the Cowboys have had problems this year. This could look a lot like the Bears game, honestly, where the defense kind of has your number and the offense isn't super dynamic, but it's dynamic enough to, kind of make it a long day for you. So that's kind of what I'm predicting. The Cowboys haven't won in Denver, actually, I think since 1992, y'all. 1992 is the last time the Cowboys went to Denver and won a game. That's a lot of history there. That's a lot of consistency there. And so I kind of think it's going to stay the same way. I do expect this to be very similar, like I said, to the Bears game. So I think the Cowboys do drop this one, and I will pick the exact score that they lost to the Bears. Cowboys lose something 31-13. I do think this is going to be, like I said, a long day. I do think the Cowboys offense probably finds a way to turn over the ball today. I don't necessarily think it might be Dak Prescott throwing an interception. I do think, though, that someone's going to put the ball on the ground. That defense is going to hit you and hit you hard all day long. And by the time the fourth quarter comes around, I don't think these guys are going to be wanting to get hit like that anymore. I do think the running game, Sean Payton is going to be persistent with it. He knows that that's a Cowboys weakness. And unlike other teams who might try to get cute and do other things, I don't expect that. I do expect the Broncos to throw the ball. I'm not saying they're going to run it 60 times, but I do expect it to be pretty close to 50-50 as far as rushing and passing. So, 30 attempts each, 30 attempts passing, 30 attempts running. And if the Cowboys are down more than a touchdown or two late, I expect that number to even get more lopsided in favor of the run, because I do believe Sean Payton will just keep running it, especially if his offensive line is coming off firing. I mean, that offensive line, pretty good in the run game. They are physical. So I do expect this to be a long day. So sorry, Cowboys fans. I think we're going to drop to 3-4-1, which goes with the, inconsistency of this season. I said after last week's game, even though it was a nice win against the Commanders, it means nothing if we can't put wins together. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to put wins together this week. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at JMillerIYL. That's JMiller if you like. You can also hit me up at knockersonthebottom@outlook.com, knockersonthebottom@gmail.com. Any questions, comments that you have, leave them below. Again, next Saturday, we'll be doing our giveaway. I should have this whole situation with NFL Plus hopefully wrapped up by then. I've been reaching out to their support. They suck. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, I'm your host, J Mill. J Mill if you like. This has been Knockers on the Bottom. Peace.